Trading is closed on March 30th, 2022. We always start with our disclaimer. It's my trading plan for March 31st. Remember, I can be wrong. Any trade one makes should be at one's own risk. Had a few calls. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tomorrow should have the early low. Said the pattern's usually a rally day. The alternative is a straight line drop. So I'm going to call that one a straight line drop. We had a target 45.93.91, which is this red line. We've been so strong I thought it might fail, but it actually did print. There's usually support under the target. That's a bit further than we normally see for support, but we actually closed over that line and all these prior lows. So this break below the lows didn't really hold, which is positive, even though this weakness instead of strength with today's pattern usually leads to weakness. Those things conflict with each other. These green lines, by the way, these are prices at which the FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee, made its calls recently. You can see how you get resistance. I think it pays to keep track of these numbers because they can be support resistance lines months later. So there's resistance around here. Let's look at what today's patterns said. We got an ultimate sell signal according to the criteria in the book, and that certainly worked. Now that was early on. I have to tell you, when I used to have access to a computer program and things which were kind of imprecise in the book, where this is clearly an ultimate sell. I had to give exact specifications because computers need such things. And the statistics I have about how successful all these signals are based on what the computer program said. And this missed by a few pennies according to the criteria in the computer program of being an ultimate sell. But it certainly worked. It actually gives an optional higher target, 46.2591. Without the program, I don't have any more. I mentioned this in the book but kind of glossed over it. The program found out there's a 95% chance we see it tomorrow, 46.2591, and if we don't, we just forget it. Now we got another sell signal in the afternoon. That certainly worked. That gave us an optional target, 46.1257. Also a 95% chance we see that. So even though this is a negative pattern, it's actually positive. We closed over recent lows, and we have two different MEJT signals calling for significantly higher prices tomorrow, 95% of the time. When there's a big rally like this, that sometimes it's hard to believe this lower number is going to print. And when you have a tank like this, maybe it's hard to believe we'll see those upper numbers. But that's what it says. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early low. It could still gap up. I've had very little time to analyze things tonight. The indicators I do have give conflicting signals. As we said, as bearish, today's normally bullish pattern showed weakness. Unless we gap and promptly overtake today's high, we should see more weakness tomorrow, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have to close lower. But it's bullish. We have optional targets for MEJT at higher levels of a 95% chance of being seen. In addition, we couldn't hold a close under the lows of the present consolidation, even though we traded under them. Now, futures are up as I write this, so gapping up and overtaking the high of day certainly is possible. I just can't say it's the only way things can play out. It's not clear enough for me to make a call. Maybe if I weren't busy tonight with other stuff, I might be able to come up with something. So I'm just going to report what my indicators had to say and leave it at that. The one thing I will say is tomorrow's pattern has the early low. And that's today's call of sorts.